welcome to episode 2 of the Reseller Network. I have Shane Rise and Grind Picker here with me, and I have Tony who,
Oh, that's me too. I just muted mine.
whoops.
Yeah, I did that too.
So we have Tony here with us tonight. He used to work for Amazon for a few months. So we wanted to reach out to Tony and get some insight for what it's like.
I'm gonna share this out to a couple Facebook groups, so I'm not ignoring you. I'm gonna share it out a little bit.
Oh, fine. Go ahead and ignore me. So anyway, so we have Tony here with us. So how you doing, Eric in Ohio? So Tony, tell us about when you started at Amazon. How long ago was that? When it was?
It's probably last November.
Okay.
Close to December. I worked the holidays. It's supposed to have been a full-time job, but it didn't turn out that way.
I'm curious. I'm intrigued because a lot of people sell on Amazon, but we've heard like the news stories of how they treat employees. So this is going to be a super.
Oh, they treat the employees good. Yeah. I mean, it's real good about that, but they didn't. They do exercises in the mornings before they start work. They do exercises after lunch. They bring you water.
Wow.
You can walk off the machine anytime to use the bathrooms. They don't care as long as you come back. But they're real good with their employees. I'll give them that.
That's awesome.
They can't. They didn't tell us that we had to meet a quota when we got hired. They just told us it was full time.
Mm-hmm.
And after Christmas was over with and stuff, they told us we had to do 100 totes an hour, but they couldn't provide 100 totes an hour.
Wow.
The machines would stop running and we wouldn't have no totes. We'd stand there. I stood there one day for like almost 2 hours for any totes come down the line.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy. So basically, if you don't meet that 100 box or 100 tote quota, what will they just lay you off, or will they?
No, you're terminated.
Wow.
If you can't meet the 100 boxes, they'll terminate you.
Do they give you any like warnings, or I heard about points that were given, things like that?
No, they'll give you a chance, but I told them, I said, if you want us to do 100 totes an hour, you got to send 100 totes down the line.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, no, sometimes we'd wait 30 minutes. Sometimes we'd wait. Like I said, I waited 2 hours one time, maybe 45 minutes, 30 minutes. But and then if no totes come down the line, they'll send you home.
Wow. So I have a lot of questions, and I don't know exactly where to start. But so as Amazon sellers, we see a lot of stuff happen kind of behind the scenes. Like we see, like we're getting reimbursed from stuff because it was damaged, or reimbursed because it was lost. And I think that's like my number one question is like,
oh, they're pretty rough with packages.
Are they? Are they? I was like, how are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I get returns back and things are broken, and it's like, how does this happen?
I've seen them load a truck, and I've seen them just toss the boxes up in it.
Wow.
So
now, let me ask
you. That's mind-blowing to me, because as a Amazon customer, my perception is the opposite. But as a seller, that's actually one of my biggest disappointments is, things getting damaged and ruined.
Oh, well, I've seen pretty much how they stock a truck, and that's not the way I'd stock it. But I've seen them just throw it up in there. Like they'll be a little wall with the boxes, and then there'll be somebody behind that wall in the truck, but then they'll just throw it over.
Wow.
And I know half the time they can't catch what's in them boxes because they're heavy. Some of them
Mm-hmm.
I know, like when I was with Target for 2.5 years, the same stuff happened. And like I actually trained a lot of people like on their e-commerce stuff, because what they did was they made every store a fulfillment center. So if you if you purchase something, it would go to the nearest Target in stock near your house, and they'd ship it out. And dude, those boxes, they'd tape them up and like throw them halfway across the warehouse in the back. And I'm like, but I think my number one question is, when you get a reimbursement, like as a seller, you'll see this reimbursement and it'll say, you've been reimbursed for this item. And you look at the reasoning and it says lost in the warehouse. Does a lot of things get lost, or is it just people that misplaces them? Or
when I worked there, we didn't have nothing missing or anything that I'd heard of.
Mm-hmm.
But we did have some people steal stuff off the line and stuff.
Yeah, that was one of my questions, is what kind of security do they have? Like, or what was your experience as far as the security there?
You have to go through metal detectors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I heard it was a lot like an airport type security, right?
You got a key card and you'll slide it and you open the little things.
Uh-huh.
And then when you go in, but when you come back out, there's only one way in and one way out. You got to go through the metal detectors. If anything you got there, you have to empty your pockets. I had to take my belt off one day because it went off.
So how are they stealing things then?
So here's my next question.
They can't get them out.
Well, actually, it's not a question. So Amazon, they do asset protection too. Like Amazon tried to recruit me for an asset protection job before I actually got out of asset protection, and out of corporate. They tried to recruit me for like an area manager, and I'm like, no thanks. But I would think, like, from my experience in working in retail, like 25% of your employees will steal. And that's my experience. You have a lot of honest employees, but you have a lot that are not. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of crap of just employees just taking stuff. And I mean, I'm sure they were pretty blatant about it.
They'll put stuff in their pocket that ain't got no like metal or nothing in it.
Mm-hmm.
I seen one boy stick something in his pocket and walked out, and I told him, which they said if you tell them they appreciate it because they'll give you like a what's them things called, like a gift card
bonus.
Mm-hmm. But I told him, I said that I think that dude right there just put something in his pocket, but I didn't get no gift card.
Do they actually introduce Paula real quick? Let's see Paula. Paula's one of my best friends from Maryland. Hi, Paula.
Hello.
She's one of my beautiful best friends from Maryland, and Tony's her boyfriend.
Well, hello, everyone. How are you tonight? Learning all about the inside secrets and scandals of Amazon. I'm just here to observe.
Did you catch that, Marcy? I said tonight on Dateline NBC.
Yes. Do you find, I mean, like you were talking about, they'll give you a gift card if you say something about somebody taking inventory.
Yeah,
did they play the employees against each other at all?
No.
Okay.
I don't think it was nothing like that. No, they just, what he stole was jail time anyway. I think it was an iPhone or something.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, like, that's going to happen. But, when they give you a reimbursement, they never say someone stole your shit. Like, no, they're like, here, it was lost in the warehouse. Have a reimbursement on us. Because you can look at that reasoning code and, there's some are like damaged, in the warehouse, or damaged unboxing, or, damaged, whatever. So like when you were like, did you rip boxes open and stuff and take stuff out and scan it in? Is that what you did?
No, when you grab the toad off the line, you got a little thing right here. It scans the barcodes on the boxes. And then you'll scan it and it'll show what box it goes in. You just pick the box up, put it in there, put your little bubble things in there, then you just tape it and you put it on the line and send it down.
So if something gets damaged,
most of them has got, if you got like batteries, you got to put like a battery sticker on it.
Yep.
Or this is heavy or fragile or stuff like that. But yeah, it's pretty good. But
like if like, and this is my next question. Like, let's say the line's moving and you picked up something and dropped it and damaged it. Like, would there be something you would just click and say item damaged or something like that?
Yeah. They got a button on your computer that says if package is damaged, you just hit it and then you put it to another tote and then they'll take it back to the other side.
Gotcha.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they got damage buttons and everything. Yeah.
That's easy. Wow.
I mean, it's a good place to work, but like I said, you got to meet that 100 totes an hour. If you don't meet that, then they won't keep you on.
So you didn't have to like pee in any bottles or anything, did you? Like you hear in
No.
the news.
So you were allowed to take the bathroom breaks.
Yeah.
That was like my top question. Probably. That was in the back of my head. I just had to ask it.
I know. You hear about the bottles of pee.
Like that article came out, I think, last fourth quarter. It was like right in November, I think, and it said Amazon employee says that they had to pee in a bottle because they weren't allowed bathroom breaks. I'm like, that sucks, but
yeah, but tell us if we're wrong, Tony. But if you take a bathroom break, it's going to impact your metrics, right?
Yep.
Your numbers.
Yep.
So
and they do it on lunch too. They won't take it off when you take lunch neither. They'll keep the thing going. That gets you too.
That's a lot of pressure.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very high. I think the resellers. That's one reason why we wanted to have you on, because from our perspective, we don't think about how much work is really going on at the warehouse. To us, it's just like it's this magical place that we send stuff to, and it just magically sells, and so we kind of wanted to put a human face behind it because there's so much work that goes into it.
Oh yeah.
Well, and especially like I think a lot of resellers don't realize like there are a lot of employees that touch your items. Like, I mean, I was in retail, so I know like they touch it when they box it up from the manufacturer, then it goes to DC, then it goes from DC and gets palletized on trucks, and then it goes to the stores. And I'm sure Amazon has a very similar supply chain. But what's crazy to me is just how many employees like actually touch your items.
Yes, Paula.
Yeah, she got a good question.
Oh, no, I have a little comment to make. So I've received several items to my house that weren't mine from Amazon. And I thought, well, what do I do with this? How do I return this or get this to where it belongs? And you don't know where this person lives. So what do you do with it? So I went to the post office one day and just threw it in the big bin that was there. I thought, well, they'll know what to do with it, I guess.
Yeah.
That wrong address. But I got two more items and I thought, well, what in the world? So I called Amazon, like the main number on the box, and they said, well, you can just keep it. I said, well, I can certainly return it to whoever needs to go to. And they said, no, just keep it. I was like, great, right on. So now I've got some great new products for free. Thank you.
And you know what? I get so many returns of like the question of the return was literally I'll get a return that says item or address not valid, and then it'll say you have a return for this item. I'm like, you just told me it wasn't valid. and then a week later, I'll get you have been reimbursed for this item because they just reimburse you on it. Yeah.
Here, Froggy Flips has a question for us. Curious, does Tony have any knowledge or experience with the checking in of FBA packages? I've always been curious why some shipments take minutes to check in and some take weeks. Awesome content. Thanks, Froggy Flips.
What exactly is FBA?
So FBA is
fulfilled by Amazon.
Yeah, it's fulfilled by Amazon. So it's when we as resellers send shipments to the warehouse. They're stored at the warehouse. They're picked and packed by guys like Tony. So that's what it stands for. So have you ever checked in any of those big boxes that come in to receiving, Tony? Or have you always done the shipping?
On them. Sometimes
the line.
I'm
So,
sorry. What's that?
We ain't allowed to open any boxes or anything.
No. Okay.
No, ain't open no boxes. No, none of the packages or nothing. When they're sealed, you can't reopen them.
Okay.
So I bet this is what they do, because I think this is what they do. So like the warehouse I have next to me is Joliet, which is the warehouse in Joliet, Illinois. And it's actually, they don't store anything there. You ship it in and they transfer it right back out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what they do is probably open them there, and then they put them in the totes and put them on like a truck, and then send them to a place like where, like Tony would work, where it would just come down the line and you'd scan stuff in.
Yeah. Do you know about how big the facility was that you worked in?
It's like 3 stories high. It had 3 floors to it.
Mhm.
It was huge. I'd say a good.
I can't even tell you how many square feet.
A football field?
I'd say a good at least 2 football fields, probably.
Okay.
So like a couple blocks.
And
It
let me
was
guess, one
huge.
bathroom?
It took me. I went in there one day and got lost, and it took me almost 20 minutes to walk all the way across from one side to the other.
And of course that impacted your metrics, your numbers.
Well, no bathroom breaks that day. Your bottle ready.
Got a bottle for you.
Oh my gosh.
I was on a new machine though. I didn't know where I was at.
Yeah.
I was down there with the trucks. That's where I saw them loading the truck up. I'm like, yeah, we just toss them in there. I'm like, man, I wouldn't buy nothing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Anything glass, I'd make sure you check it before. Yeah, because they'll probably break it.
See, what I do with my glass stuff is, so I'm shipping out like I sold a couple like tiki mugs that were glass in the last couple days. And what I do is I bubble wrap the crap out of them and I shove it in a poly bag. And I just put I put the little label this on the outside of the poly bag.
Mhm.
Well, most of them that work there don't put. That's how some of them can meet that 100 tote an hour, because they don't put the bubble wrap in there. They'll just put the stuff in there and tape it up.
They'll just put it in there with no bubble wrap.
I've seen them just throw it in there and tape it up, send it down. I was like, "Don't you put bubble wrap in there?" Nope. I'm like, well,
Because
okay.
the quota is so unreasonable.
Yeah.
Right.
You got to hustle to really make it.
By the time you grab that and you grab your wrap and put it in the box,
The next one's coming.
yeah. You get like, sometimes you get a
Well, your
tote's got
time.
like one thing in it. Sometimes you get like 12 things in a tote, maybe 6 or 7 things. But sometimes you just get something that weighs like 75 pounds, like I did, like a pair of dumbbells.
Now,
About that.
didn't they used to time you on how long it took you to do each tote, and you had to try to beat your time each time or something?
You just got to hit 100 totes an hour,
Okay.
which is impossible because they don't send enough totes down. Because I work downstairs where they send the totes up.
Mm-hmm.
What they do is they got 4 lines down there, and you take totes and you set them at the line, and somebody else will put them on the line, or they'll pick them up and send them upstairs. I had everything. They said it's going to take you a couple hours to do this. It took me less than 30 minutes to get everything straight down there, and they told me I can go home because I done had my job done.
Nice.
I was like, all right.
Nice.
They said what should have took me 2 hours took me 30 minutes to do. And I don't see how anybody has a problem back here. How it all gets all piled up back here. And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, I had 8 skids of totes, and I had them all done in 30 minutes. It ain't hard. I mean, the work's good. You can meet their quota, but it's hard.
That sounds like a hard quota. Like, it's a little unreasonable to me. You know what I mean? It sounds very unreasonable.
I mean, if they would have told me when I started, I probably would have met it, but they didn't tell me that until 3 months after I was working, after the holidays were over with.
Tell us a little bit about what you and Paula were sharing before the show about, when you were hired and it was supposed to be full-time, and they didn't tell you about the quota until it was kind of too late. How did that go down?
Well, when I first started, they said it was full-time. I was like, okay. And after Christmas, I say around March, was it March? around March. Well, then February, they looked at me and they said, you got to meet 100 totes an hour, or if you can't meet 100 totes an hour, you have to be terminated. I'm like, that's like nobody told us that when we started.
Right.
Well, they should have. I'm like, nobody said that when we started. So
yeah,
I mean, I got 100 totes one time because they kept them coming.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like if you had a steady stream of totes, you'd be able to do 100 totes. But
yeah, if they keep the totes coming, you can get a.
Yeah.
So let me interject. So yeah, because this makes me so mad. So we were told that it would be a full-time position, benefits, paid time off, that sort of thing. So basically, he had to use whatever little paid time off he had accrued to use for those days when he was sent home early because there wasn't enough work to do. Now, the part makes me angry also is that he resigned from his old job to take the opportunity with Amazon, thinking, oh, great, there's full-time opportunity with Amazon. It's up and coming in the neighborhood. And, they're just going places. Let's go with Amazon. So he left his old job that he had security at to go to Amazon, where he was tricked into believing that a temporary seasonal job was going to be a full-time job. It is a temporary position with benefits.
They didn't outline that. They didn't outline that when he was hired.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and also, if they would have told him, like, hey, there's a quota of 100 totes, he may not even have took the job.
Correct. Well, he probably wasn't up for the challenge. But I'm sure that after the first couple of days, he would have thought or observed, hey, there's no way you can meet this. I see 30 toes coming down this line. How do you expect that? That's unreasonable.
Well, and he would have had the time to go back to his old job and ask for it.
Yeah, and then he would have time to say, oh, you know what? This isn't for me. I don't understand where you think these totes are coming from. I look around me. I don't see any. And he could have gone back to his previous position. Luckily for him, he was on call with a second job that he had. So now he's time there. So take that, Amazon. But what gets me is that we used to have a place called Bethlehem Steel here in Baltimore, in the Dundalk area. And it was a very nice blue collar, maybe middle to upper low class community. And when Bethlehem Steel left, the community was left with nothing, and it was poverty stricken. So here comes Amazon acting like they're going to save the day. And I can't even imagine what the turnover is there for employees. With this whole gimmick, this lie that you're going to have a permanent full-time job with us forever. Yay. This is like, and then, oh, guess what? You have this quota you have to meet that we didn't tell you about.
Right.
But surprise. And you won't be able to make it. So see you later. Thanks for helping us with the Christmas holiday. And it's unfair. It's a lie.
Yeah. And the area that Paula is talking about, is an area where I used to work. That's actually where I met Paula. Her and I worked in the same area, and it's very underprivileged area, and there's very, very few jobs in that area. So Amazon coming in is a really big deal. And then everybody, is looking to that company, for a job, and then they're treating their employees like this.
And this, I'm sure they're taking advantage because this community is desperate for jobs, and it's
very desperate
to have even those few months of employment before they go back on unemployment and welfare, basically. They're probably grateful. So that's why Amazon went there, to take advantage of poor people. They need to offer them what they say, what they're presenting. If it's a full-time position, you don't surprise them and try to trick them into not meeting a quota, because really it's a temporary position.
And instead, when I was with Target, we did things the right way. Like when we hired people in the fourth quarter, we'd say, we'd start in September and we'd say, hey, this is seasonal. Like nothing says you're going to have a job after this, but if you do good work, there could be a full-time opportunity for like a part-time temporary job.
And this was not advertised that way. It was not presented that way at all. It wasn't a temp to full-time. It wasn't seasonal to full-time. It was full-time.
They just said it's straight full-time. And here you go.
To the HR representative over there, She called me because I had my phone number on his application because he was working at his other job. In my position where I work, I'm able to pick up my cell phone, whereas he was not. So I took the call, and she told me directly to me, it is a full-time job. And I said, it's not one of the seasonal positions, or it's not a temporary position. And she said, nope, this is full-time. I said, great. I said, what about benefits and time off? She has 2 weeks paid time off plus major holidays and benefits eligible.
Wow.
Wow, this is great. Tony just moved to the area. He could really use this break. So he resigned. He put in a notice with his current employer at the time and went with Amazon, only to be duped 3 months later or something.
Pretty much.
Luckily, he had that second job that was an on-call position, and he reached out to them and asked if he could go permanent with them, and now he works full-time with them.
That's
and
awesome.
paid time off, etc. So
Yeah.
thank God they came through for him.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's always nice to hear that, like when it works out good like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And I mean, Amazon would have been an amazing career. I mean, you could have moved up, but you still, I think it's still possible. Like if you ever want to get into like management or something later on, I think that's still possible because I mean, usually like even like Target when they fired people, they were eligible for rehire 6 months later. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
Okay. That wasn't communicated either, so I'm not sure if that's the case with Amazon or not.
Yeah. But you never know down the road if you ever move to a different state and they have a facility because I think like, and Target was kind of the same way. Like each facility is run different. And so like when I was at Target, each store was ran different. And one store, they would have some ridiculous crap like that. And another store, they'd be like, no one has quotas. That's just, quotas is going to work, And I think it could be a way to like each facility is just ran different by the manager. You know what I mean?
Are they franchised?
Targets? No, it's just literally the store manager. There's a corporate guideline, but the store manager runs the store. So they set the kind of the acumen for the store. You know what I mean? And they're called a store team leader, not a store manager. So they kind of set the presence of, hey, this is what we're going to do. And that was like when I first started at Target. And then towards the end, Target was like really pushing their corporate agenda, which was like, don't hire people with degrees, hire underprivileged people so we can get tax breaks. Like it was very much
work there.
Yeah, very much the same agenda.
Wow.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't know that about Target.
I didn't either.
Yeah. And they were just doing all sorts of weird stuff. They wanted to hire younger people. They were pushing out a lot of the older style managers. So when I left, like my position was eliminated. So they said, you can either quit or you're going to move anywhere we tell you to move. And I'm like,
that's not a very diverse mindset. I figure that doesn't sound like a very good business model.
Yeah. But when I left, there was like 20 store managers that left the same week.
Wow.
In the region. Yeah.
They resigned or they were let go?
Resigned. Yeah. Just because of the agenda corporate was pushing. So I think every company goes through that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Very interesting.
I've seen it a lot. Like 10 years in corporate retail, I've seen a lot of these big stores just plummet. I used to work for the Bon-Ton stores. So like Berkner's, Carson's, Yonkers, Hirschberger's, they went completely defunct. Like I worked there 5 years and they went completely bankrupt. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of these corporatized like businesses, like such, including Amazon, like they may push one agenda and then tomorrow it's going to be different. Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get.
Yep.
Well, maybe there's hope for Amazon. Is that what we're?
So CJ has a good question. And he said, how did target loss prevention work? So, well, there was a couple of different levels. I was a salaried manager salaried executive manager in asset protection. So basically what I did was I had to do my asset protection job as well as do managerial shifts in the store for like an on-call manager. So I had 2 jobs, and then my boss in corporate, if I had to travel to like interview an employee for theft, like they just said, hey, you have to travel. Here you go. And so I would go interview someone, whatever. But it was pretty chill. They had a lot of, like don't apprehend someone if it's below $20 and just a lot of really hardcore stuff. But it wasn't bad.
Okay.
Is Tony still there?
Yes. They're going to probably ask you about loss prevention.
Well, we know all about the security now there, right?
Yeah.
Going through airport security.
Nothing
Nothing in your pockets. What's that?
That person was able to leave Amazon with an iPhone in his pocket, but they have metal detectors.
Mm-hmm.
He probably didn't go through the metal detectors. He probably went through the bathroom and through the cafeteria and out.
Ah.
Yep.
There's one way to get around that because you can go through the side doors and then you can come through the cafeteria and miss the whole.
Oh my goodness!
Whatever you want to call
Very tricky. Very tricky.
So you said there was only one way in and one way out.
Yeah.
So how are they able? Is there a buzzer that goes off?
But the buzzer that was on the lunchroom wasn't working.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
They can hear a door when it opens.
Yeah.
But the buzzer on that door wasn't working.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I opened it and when I opened it, it went off at one day and I'm like, they said, you can't go that way. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. They said, you got to go through the metal detectors. I'm like, well, I didn't know that. And I went up there the other time when that one boy took that iPhone, you could see that the light wasn't on it. So I think he went through the lunchroom and then he went out the gates.
Right.
What was it like being watched like that? All of your movements watched, and
they usually don't. They didn't watch you like that. I mean, they walked around to make sure you was doing your job and stuff, but they didn't really like hover over you or anything like that.
Okay.
I mean, they pretty well they'll train you like for 2 or 3 days, and they just turn you loose.
Really?
You just stand there for 8 hours, 10 hours, just doing the same thing over and over.
So did you feel like the training?
They don't like stand over them and hover them or anything.
Did you feel like the training that you got for a couple of days was good enough, or did you feel like that you should have had a little bit more training?
No, I mean they trained. They just the training was good. I mean, I had it all down pat. It's just they didn't tell me I had to meet a quota. 100.
Well, they set you up for failure, really, by not giving you the amount of work you needed. That's the problem. They set you up to fail.
Me and this one guy that I worked with got in an argument with the manager because we told him, he said, how we were supposed to do this 100 totes an hour when you can't send us 100 totes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's not our problem. I'm like, if it ain't our problem. I said, we're just in here waiting for work to do.
Now I have a question, Tony. Did you have the same supervisor each shift?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I think that facility may just have a problem with the bosses because the managers, because I bet you some facilities actually realize they don't and they give people a break. It's just the word I'm looking for is maybe it's just the kind of the aura they give off, like they just don't care. You know what I mean? Because like I said, it could be different by facility, and that could be very well. That facility just has a lot of bad rapport.
Like the culture there is just very like a
culture. That's what I was looking for. Culture is very toxic. Because if you're a good manager, you would see. I mean, I've dealt with struggling people, and even when I was in management, I'm like, hey, okay, you're struggling. Why are you struggling?
Mm-hmm.
And if you are struggling, like, what can I do to make you better?
So it sounds like Amazon was not very supportive from the managers.
Well, it depends. Like, managers can hide a lot of stuff from their bosses, and like I was in some retail stores I worked in, and the culture was horrible, and you could tell that, but the bosses couldn't tell that because they put on a show when they came to visit and stuff like that. So a lot of that bad culture can be really hidden very, very well.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so, Tony, what would you say the culture was like there?
Like, what did it feel like? The atmosphere, the attitude.
Oh, it was good. They all had good. I mean, all my managers were nice and stuff.
Good.
Mhm.
It's just they didn't tell me we had to meet that quote. I mean, that's the only problem.
That dang quota just keeps getting in the way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So did you feel supported by your manager when they said, "Oh well, it's not my problem"?
No, I don't care too much about them. I didn't talk to them that much.
But your coworkers, you got along with your coworkers pretty well. And what did your coworkers have to say about this problem? Did they have the same issue with the quota?
Oh no, I only didn't talk to them that much because we always got sent home. We didn't have nothing to do.
Send home for no work.
Nice.
That's crazy though, man.
So
that
with
blows
the
my mind.
quota that you can't even meet, you saw your fellow employees caring less about the packaging of the items in the totes and the boxes because they had to meet that quota. And so when money becomes an issue, the worker cares less about the quality of their work because they're just trying to survive at that point. So they have no incentive to do quality work that you as the merchandisers would expect.
Yeah, because they're trying to rush, they're trying to meet the quota and also ship as fast as possible.
Yep.
And then the product suffers and gets broken or lost
Right.
or whatever because they set these unreasonable expectations of the employees.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is they set a lot of unreasonable stuff for sellers too. So
Okay.
here's an example. And she's like, oh,
Yeah.
crap. Well, here's an example. Like if you have an action figure, okay, and it gets shipped out in the packaging, it comes loose in the box and it becomes, like that little plastic jewel case becomes loose.
Mm-hmm.
If the customer reports that you sold them a used item, Amazon will immediately suspend you. Immediately. And they won't ask you any questions. They suspend you. All your products go off of live and go into where people can't buy them. And then you have to write a plan of action and they ask questions after they suspend you.
Yeah, and if you get your account deactivated, you never get it back.
Now, a lot of times you can, but you have to hire an Amazon lawyer.
Yes.
You have to pay money because Amazon will hold your money and not give it to you and fight. And a lot of people have had issues with that. And even on the seller side, like they don't always play nice. So I was like an Amazon seller. I tell people on my channel, like even in these live shows when me and Marcy do shows together, it's not if you get suspended, it's when you get suspended. Because at one point, if you're doing enough volume, you will get suspended.
Right. Doesn't seem very fair.
But a lot of times you can get out of it yourself. If you follow the rules, you should be good. Just following the rules. And Amazon, I think they suspend you like that because they don't want you to sell anymore if you are selling you stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're like very protective over their customer base.
Yeah, very protective of their brand.
Mm.
Absolutely. Yeah, I already have a suspension plan in place just for when it happens.
When it inevitably happens. Oh my gosh, that's depressing.
I keep a pre-typed letter on my backup hard drive.
Oh my god.
Yep.
So the pressure is real.
Yep. I keep a pre-typed letter and I keep a pre-typed document letter up for IP claims, which is intellectual property claims. That's when, like, if I sell this eBay tape and eBay says, I don't want you to sell my products, and they slap an IP claim on you, you have to prove that, you bought it and it's real. It's not fake.
Legit.
Yep.
Does Amazon have a policy that the customer is always right?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is that true? That the customer is always right?
100%. No matter what, they're always
Absolutely.
right.
Well, even like you were talking before about, those packages being shipped to the wrong address and all of that, even if packages are marked as delivered, but the buyer says they never got it, then they're still refunded, whether it's marked delivered or not. It's things like that.
Okay.
Yeah. But I use and I told people this, I think last week, I use this service called Seller Bench. and they will look into everything: your shipments, your shipping, your inventory that's been checked in, inventory that hasn't been checked in, and they file. They don't charge you. It's technically free, kind of, unless they find something to appeal. And if, like, Amazon will not pay you some stuff. Like, if a seller says I didn't get it and they kept it and it's marked delivered, Amazon will not offer you that. And on some of those cases, you should get a reimbursement, and Seller Bench will go in and look at it, and they will file the reimbursement on your behalf.
So, do you think there's a future for drones in all of this?
Absolutely. 100%.
Deliveries?
There's actually a company in China already doing it.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, they're kicking Amazon's butt over in China, and I can't remember what the site is, but they are it's just like Amazon, but
I did not know that.
They are kicking their butt.
Now, what would prevent me as a customer from yanking the drone out of the sky and keeping it?
But you can't reach it; it's too high.
Yeah,
you can't jump it high.
Is my merchandise going to get broken as it falls?
But you might be able to shoot it down.
Let's see here. I'm looking for this site and tell you what it is. But
you know, there's that. I can't remember the name of the robot now, but there's a little robot that's like the size of a cooler that you would use during the summer to put soft drinks in that runs around. I think they tested them up in the Washington area, didn't they? And then I think they're now testing them down in California.
JD.com, and it's actually it's an Amazon rival and an Alibaba rival, and it's actually operating from Beijing and is the first of 3 major Chinese companies on e-commerce.
You know that, don't you?
But Amazon is first, but they are giving them, like, they were kicking their butt 2 years ago, and now they're giving them a run for their money. Like, they're staying 1 and 2, like, it's back and forth.
Really?
JD.com. Jingdong is what it's called. Jingdong.
That's not available for people in the U.S. to use yet?
It is just it's just over in China, yeah, like China and Japan, I think. And like,
is that their choice right now? Is there something that Amazon has done to monopolize the market over here, or try to monopolize the market?
I don't think so. Here's the problem when you find with e-commerce sites is it costs so much to get in the ball game. The barrier of entry is too high. So not anyone has like $400,000 laying around to go like get a website and make clickable links and get like a merchant license for taking cards, and it costs a lot of money. And so like Amazon, Jeff Bezos lucked out. Like, he got into this when it was first starting, and people were like, "We'll do it for free because we want to see what happens," and so I think there's just the barrier of entry is just very, very high.
Yeah. Gotcha.
King Dong. It's not King Dong, it's Jing Dong.
King Dong sounds like an adult site. Eric in Ohio said.
Eric in Ohio.
We got to share that one.
It's really King Dong.
You know, Tony has shipped quite a few interesting items when he worked at Amazon.
What kinds of things did you ship?
Are you allowed to say that?
Are you allowed to see them on here?
Oh yeah,
all those adult products.
I ship dildos and vibrators and
games about poop
and everything.
Hey, you might have shipped some of my items for me. I'm sure you did. Because I sold some pretty messed up items on Amazon.
We appreciate it.
Oh my god!
I've sold some pretty messed up items. That's for sure.
Hey, there's a demand.
There is.
Which hours did you work, Tony?
6 to 6. Yeah. 6 to 6, I think. 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay.
Whenever he was lucky enough to work a full shift.
That's
what was the busiest time of day? Or was it kind of steady throughout the day? Or was there just no busy time of the day since you couldn't meet your quota?
You get They was more busier in the mornings if they could keep them coming than it was in the evenings.
Mhm.
Around after lunch, around 2, maybe 3 o'clock, they'll start telling people, you can go home if you want to because we ain't got enough work. But sometimes it wouldn't last till about 10 o'clock. Then they'll be like, we ain't got enough work. You can go home if you want to.
And then the days of the week that he worked, what were they? What'd you work? Was it
I was off Sunday, Mondays, and Tuesdays, and worked Wednesdays, Thursdays, Friday, and Saturday.
Mm-hmm. So on Saturday, I'm sleeping in, of course, because I don't work on weekends. And he would come through the door at 11 o'clock, and I'd say, "What are you doing here?" "Oh, they sent us home."
And then you had to use your sick time for it.
Well, I don't think you were allowed to use sick time, but you could use vacation or business.
Or the vacation.
If you had that accrued.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then once it ran out, you took the time. Once you got sent home, that time was just unpaid.
See, I bet if you worked instead of a fulfillment center, it's in a fulfillment center, but it's like one of those centers like Joliet, Illinois, where they don't store any stuff. They just break down all the shipments to ship to other places. I bet there would have been way more work there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because not every, you have like places like Joliet where all these sellers are just shipping in massive boxes. Like I shipped out 8 35 to 45 pound boxes just today.
Wow.
And so that they all went to Joliet. And what they'll do is when they come in, they'll scan them in, they'll break them down. They'll take all the products out and probably separate it to whatever fulfillment center they want to send it. And then it's fulfilled. They transfer it to the other center. So they just transfer it from that center to the other center.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way mine works too. Mine get shipped to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yep. So I bet you if Tony had worked in one of those places, he probably would have had a better chance because I think some of the place that he worked in your city, it was probably just like they were just breaking down orders on those trucks, and once they ran out, they were out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I imagine so. I'm not really sure.
Mike says, "You guys do RA for Amazon. Don't you guys worry? It's risky."
Nah.
What was
RA, like you have a lot of people on YouTube saying, "Hey, reseller arbitrage is so risky." It's really not. Like you had this one guy that did primarily wholesale. I can't remember his name. He would tell everybody it's illegal, and it's not illegal. It's just you're at the mercy of a receipt. The receipt has to be good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes, ex-Amish picker. Joliet is MDW2, and then they have MDW1, I believe. And then they have MDW3, which is in Romeoville, Illinois, I think.
Matthew said all his go to Charlotte, North Carolina too, but he's in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm all the way down in Florida, so it's just whatever route they choose for our shipments to go to.
Do you ship a lot to Memphis, Tennessee?
Man, no.
Mm-hmm.
Everything goes up to Charlotte.
I was doing RA like when me and my wife and we went on vacation in Mobile, and I was shipping out from our hotel room, and literally a ton of them went to Memphis. They were just like routing them all to Memphis. I'm like, what the heck?
I don't think I've ever shipped to Memphis. Not that I remember.
Yeah.
Not that I remember. So I've got a last question for Tony. What about robots and technology
Where are you?
at the warehouse?
Robots and technology.
Mm-hmm.
Technology's good. I didn't see too many robots because I was in the area where the robots was.
Dude, they tried to turn you into one. That's what was that.
They're really good on safety, yo, because you have to wear some kind of orange vest when you're on the floor, so fork truck drivers can see you.
What do the robots do there?
I don't know. I've never seen a robot there.
Oh,
I've seen them.
there, right?
Yeah, I've just seen them when I've.
No, I didn't know there was robots there.
Oh.
Yeah, I've seen them when I was doing my research, Paula, and they a lot of times they'll be like maybe like 6-7 racks tall, and they'll shuffle the inventory around the warehouse to get it to the packers.
Okay. Interesting.
Drummer asked, "Do you guys ship all your items to one center?" So I ship to whatever center they tell me to, but it's primarily for me. It's MDW2 in Joliet because I pay for inventory placement. So I actually pay like how it works. If it's a pound or less, you pay an extra 30 cents, and then it goes up for each pound, each couple pounds. It's a scale that it goes up for each couple pounds it weighs.
Yeah, mine just by luck, most of it just goes up to Charlotte.
Yeah.
Last week, I think
That's
I sent to one other location too, and I had like 20, or I'm sorry, I had over 200 pieces go out, but the majority of it all went up to Charlotte. Matthew said he drove by the Charlotte warehouse Sunday. It was huge next to the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've drove by the Amazon place in Chicago, like in Joliet, and it's like 3 city blocks. It's like, but it's only, I think it's only one store. One of them is like one story, but that thing is like 3 blocks long. Like you're driving and you're like, oh,
Right.
there's Amazon, and then you're driving 10 minutes later and you're like, oh, look, is that the same one?
Same
Yep,
one.
there it is.
Wow. Yeah, the one in Maryland, you can see the warehouse from the Key Bridge.
Oh wow, it's big then.
There's the area. It's huge.
It's huge.
It takes up about half of the space that Bethlehem Steel used to occupy.
Wow.
That is huge.
Yes. I imagine you could probably find it on Google, and you'd be astounded at how.
Yeah, I'll have to do that.
Mhm.
I'll have to do that.
Well, and I can only imagine a steel company. I've
Yeah.
seen some
Bethlehem
closed down
Steel was
companies.
huge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because they have the foundries and the place where they cool the steel beams at. And it's just gigantic.
Yeah. Yep.
Trying to read the chat here and trying to catch up.
I think we got it all.
Yep.
All right. Any last questions, guys? I know Tony and Paula are exhausted.
Time to watch some TV and unwind. But hey, we appreciate you all coming on here because it was awesome.
Thank you so much, guys. And yeah, because I was reaching out to a lot of different people I was finding on the internet that had worked in a warehouse before, then I reached out to Paula because I know Paula personally, and Tony said absolutely right away. So I really appreciate you guys doing this for us. That's very cool.
No problem at all.
If I'm ever in your neck of the woods, dinner's on me.
Awesome.
And you never know because he drives around the country looking for stuff to buy to send to Amazon.
Yep.
We'll give you the dime tour.
Yeah, I literally just got back. I was out on the road for a week, and I went all through Ohio and up until Pennsylvania, and then back around. And I thought about driving through West Virginia, and then I'm like, nah, I'm ready to go home. I'm tired.
West Virginia is nice.
Yeah. But it gets old, because I travel a lot with retail, and it just gets old when you're out on the road hunting for products, and then you're like in a hotel room, and then you're eating one meal a day, and you're like, because I probably hit when I'm on the road doing this, upwards from 30 to 40 stores a day.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. I drove in 5 days, 1,700 miles.
Now make sure that you set a quota for yourself that you can meet.
My quota, if the stores are close enough, I always push for 30 stores a day.
That's crazy.
That's awesome. Yeah.
30.
Phew.
But hey, if you guys are interested in selling on Amazon, though, reach out to Marcy or me 100%.
All right.
They'll give you all the ins and outs.
That's right. Because you guys are hustlers.
And now you know the rest of the story.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night. It was great seeing you.
You too,
Nice meeting
babe.
you as well.
Nice to
Thank you.
meet you. Thanks for having us.
Tony. Thanks,
night.
Paula.
Good night.
See you, Tony. See you, Paula.
See you
Bye
guys.
bye.